I'm on Etsy and I've typed in wedding SVG. Gives me back 89,000 results. I start scrolling down. This is about the speed that an average user on Etsy will be looking through thumbnails. So if you've created thumbnails, that means you've got half a second, quarter of a second, 1/3 of a second. In this video, I'm going to give you 3 tips on how you can have a killer thumbnail so you can stop and you can check out a really good product. Give yourself a fighting chance to get some eyeballs on your designs. Okay, before we jump into the judgment here on what a good thumbnail is and what a bad thumbnail is, I just want to point out in 2020, the active number of sellers on Etsy stood at 4.3 million. And the site at 81.9 million active buyers. So look, this is my opinion only. If you're getting sales and you don't follow exactly what I'm saying, that's okay. I'm not offended. Please don't be offended. I'm just going to be jumping in and showing you big picture things that will typically work on a broad scale. So tip number 1 is to find a successful store on Etsy that's selling a product similar to what you're selling and see what they're doing and to try to mimic what they're doing. And look, I know how YouTube works. Please put away the pitchforks. I'm not suggesting that you rip off somebody's design. What I am suggesting is you look at their style and see what works. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So here I'm on Etsy. I type in wedding SVG, and over here on the right, we can see this one, bridal party SVG bundle. I like the way this thumbnail looks. It's easy. I can see that there's 12 designs. It says the word 12 at the bottom. I'm going to open up this listing. Here's the listing itself. It's easy to read. I can read all 12 items. It says 12 down at the bottom. It tells me the listing type. It's an SVG and a PNG file. And then I'm going to pop open the store itself and I'm going to see, what do I like about this store? First of all, what I like is they have actual sales. Okay, they have more than a couple sales. These guys are legitimate. Second, buyers are raving. There's 5-star reviews. So I can scroll down to the bottom and I can actually see what's actually sold. So this is a big deal on Etsy, more so than say Merch by Amazon or Redbubble, for example, because you can't see what's actually sold. You can guess, but here we can see Angela on the 25th of June bought this design. So I can pop this open and I can see exactly what this thumbnail looked like because it resulted in a sale. So this is a decent thumbnail. It's got the amount of the designs down at the bottom. It's got exactly what the file is, SVG, PNG, DXF, EPS. Those are the 4 file types. The price point's good. It's got 2 thumbnails showing exactly what the things are here. These quotes are not included. They're examples only to display. So these are the flourishes, these little markers, and these are the markers here. So they've got an example on the first thumbnail about what they're actually selling. And then the second one is just examples, like mock-ups, right? If it was me, I'd probably put these on a t-shirt, but that's okay. They still look pretty good. So this, by definition of the 722 sales, is a decent thumbnail. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to look at this person's store in general. See the consistency in the thumbnails. They've got the listing down at the bottom. Now you could put this, you could put the teacher bundle, welcome sign bundle, inspiration. You could put it in the middle. You could put the 24, 12, 20, 25. You could put it on the side, but it doesn't matter. My point is it's all the same. So the consistency is what you're looking for. So something like this, for example, and this right here, these would attract me to create something similar if I was starting out on Etsy, because over 20 people have this in the basket, over 16 people have this in the basket. The way this looks, the consistency of these thumbnails, that's the key. So whatever you decide to do, and when you're selling digital files on Etsy, you want your thumbnails to be consistent. It doesn't have to be the exact same as this, but it should be consistent. Tip number 2 is to have some sort of a background and mock-up in your thumbnail. So here's an example of pretty basic, design. Hubby 2021, wifey 2021. And if it was just on a white background, it'd be pretty blah, right? But instead, they've got a stripe, a vertical stripe down the side, and they've got a brick background. That's really nice. It just adds a little bit of a punch when you're viewing through the actual thumbnails. The other thing I like is they've got a mock-up as well. So they've put it on a product. Now you don't have to actually put it on a real product and get it shipped to your house. That can be pretty expensive, especially if you've got hundreds of products. There's mock-up generators that you can find online. Just Google free mock-up generator, or you can buy a mock-up template and you basically stick this on and then you can take the picture of it, right? So this is a mock-up, could be a real product, but it's also could be a mock-up generator as well. This is the actual store. So you can see there's different mock-ups here, bricks in the background, t-shirts in the background. That's a big one. Little tiny onesies. So this is a pretty good looking store. Now look, even if, I'm not going to say that it's my opinion that it's a good looking store, 26,000 sales means the public is telling me it's a good looking store. So I want to be clear. I'm looking at this every time I'm looking at these thumbnails. If there's a lot of sales, that means something here is working. It's the consistency, but then it's also the background. Like this is a little bit boring. Mr. and Mrs. is just a little bit of a background. This is better because it's got established, not just because it's got established, but because there's a brick background, the stripe, it just catches the eye a little bit better. So I would encourage you to do mock-ups and then also having some sort of a background like brick, something that is, flowers, something like that. It's a little bit more punchy than just having just the black and white design. The third tip involves the Cricut machine or the cutting machine or some sort of physical product. If you actually do have a physical product, put that in your thumbnail instead of a mock-up if at all possible. So here's an example of a wedding card. It's an SVG file for the Silhouette Cameo and Cricut machine. And what they're selling here is a digital file. Okay, now my preference would be that they put the type of digital file here in the thumbnail. It says here SVG file and PNG file. It should be here, but let's forget about that for a second. What I like about this thumbnail is that they've got the actual physical product and they've got multiple, because this is such a spectacular image. They've actually got it here on a card. Here they've got it with a cut, with like the back of the card is pink so that you open up the card. Here is the same card, but the front of it is cut and the inside is paper. And then here's the actual cut that you could use for, say, a wedding, like a table topper or something like that. So this screams to the client, for $3.89, you get this. They're not showing you the file. They're showing you the finished product. And that's a really big deal because it moves the buyer to the point where they've already purchased it in their mind. They're going, oh, for $3.89, I can make this? Well, you do if you have a Cricut machine or a cutting machine. So this is perfect. Although I would prefer that they had the file names down here, but that's pretty rinky dink. Now here they've got 11,687 sales. So I'm just going to pop open their store here really quick and we can see what we're dealing with here. So this is SVG cutting files and clip art. And you can see here they've got some sort of a cutting machine at their house because every single thumbnail shows the actual finished product. That happy birthday card's amazing, right? Right there. So this is brilliant. You can see all these people have these stuff in their basket. I'm just going to pop open this one here with the flowers. This is great because of the consistency, but also the finished product. These are not just mock-ups. This is the actual picture of the actual product. Multiple thumbnails is big as well. The more thumbnails you can have, the better. It takes time, but it's really going to pay off because people can just drool over these products and go, wow, you mean for $3.89 I can get that card? Yes. And the list goes on and on. Look at all the stuff in this person's basket. So if you go out and buy a Cricut machine for $300, $400, you could have a store just like this. Now it takes time. That's the big hidden investment here. It takes time and skill to learn this. But just look at the difference between this one here, this white one, and just having it on an actual table, having the actual stuff cut out. What a difference between the two. Fantastic. So I hope you found that helpful. 3 or 4, I guess I threw in a couple bonus tips there, but anyway, 3 tips for making your Etsy thumbnails really pop. Remember, you've got a quarter or a half a second when people scroll through, and they're not going to be looking in your shop. They're going to be looking online, typing in a search term like wedding SVG, and just scrolling through like this. Boom, I stop. I look at that. Wow, beautiful. Great job. That's the way you do a killer thumbnail on Etsy. Hope you guys found that helpful, and have a great day, guys. Thank you so much for watching.